The other
Well,
touchdown.
let's get to that. I mean,
let's just go into it.
Yeah, I mean, I have on my notepad, and my notes are short today because I stopped writing about halfway through the Bills and Pat's game. But I have a gigantic boger, section written out. The whistle. It's what the game will be remembered for, which is kind of a shame because
it will not be. But go ahead.
Okay. The game will be remembered for the Bengals breaking the streak. But when people talk about the Bengals breaking the streak, they will say that was the Jerome Boger whistle game.
I won't, but go ahead.
Raiders fans will.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, before you go on, and you can go first, but here's the thing. And I know it's your world and it's not my world. And I have come to grips with that through therapy. If you are not on social media, it's just another mistake by a bunch of dumb refs.
That's not accurate.
What do you mean it's not accurate?
I'm texting with my friends about it. It's all we were talking about. Like the group, that's all the group chat, like multiple group chats. That's all anyone's talking about.
I didn't think it was that big. I mean, it was a terrible call, but at the end of the day, it didn't.
You didn't think it was that big of a deal
in terms of the outcome? No. But go ahead. You go ahead, and I'll circle back.
Okay, so Joe Burrow is rolling to his right, and it looks like he's thinking about throwing the ball away. And as he takes his final step,
and this is on a 3rd and 4 from the Raiders' 10-yard line.
Yep, with two. It happened right at the 2-minute warning, actually.
First play after the 2-minute warning.
Right. So first play after the 2-minute warning, and Burrow takes one final step, and he's that you're waiting to see if somebody can come open, and he sees Tyler. It was Tyler Boyd, right? Yeah, sees Tyler Boyd, throws it 10 yards, and as the ball is traveling in the air, at some point, like hearing it live, it was hard to really discern. You had to go back and watch it. And I Breech did this, but there's a whistle, and it's not a fan whistle. Maybe there was a fan whistle happening at the same time. This was a referee's whistle that is blown. And
official whistle.
An official whistle.
It wasn't Booger.
It wasn't Booger, yeah. And so everybody's completely confused. And Boger comes on and says, and they initially, I felt like, were blowing the play dead as it was happening. He then comes out and says the ruling on the field is because Joe Burrow looked like he was close to the sidelines initially. They go back and you show the replay, and he's like, he's like a good distance from there's no way you could think he stepped out unless you're 100 miles away. And
what about 18 inches away? Should you be able to see it from there?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, it was close. It was close.
On the broadcast, you weren't sure right away if he had stepped out. You assumed since the whistle had been blown that he'd stepped out, but they did the replay. It's like, there's no chance he stepped out. Boyd catches the touchdown. As you can see, Moerig there looks like he's sort of the Raiders looked like they had stopped giving up on the play because they had heard the whistle. Some of them did.
Wrong. Go ahead.
Okay. And they come out and they say, all right, the ruling on the field is a touchdown. And then it was like weird how they Breech. What were your emotions as this is happening? And how did you see it playing out? I guess is my question.
So yeah, I mean,
I don't care what Wilson thinks.
I didn't tweet about it because I knew if I sided with the Bengals that I'm going to come across like this huge Bengals homer. But I think I essentially agree with Wilson's about to say as far as the Raiders stopping, because watching the play, it looked like the whistle blew maybe 0.2 seconds before Tyler Boyd caught it. So it wasn't enough time for any Raiders player to react and stop doing what they were doing. So I don't think it impacted anything about the play. Now, by the letter of the law, it is supposed to be a dead ball if the whistle blows. And by the letter of the law, it should have been a replay of the down. So I totally get why anyone would be upset, especially if you're a Raiders fan. But I do not think it impacted the actual play because it was so close to when Boyd caught it. It wasn't like any Raiders, you had 0.2 seconds to react from the whistle to the ball being in his hand. The ball's flying at 50 miles an hour and the whistle blows 0.2 seconds before it's in his hand. So in that sense, it's weird because for there not to be a way for the NFL to, because if you take a touchdown away, you penalize the Bengals for running a play that the Raiders couldn't stop.
To be clear, even though by the letter of the law and the NFL rule book, the whistle sounding before the play was complete, it should have been replayed as a third and four, I guess.
Erroneous whistle is the rule.
An erroneous whistle, correct. by the letter of the law, it should have been replayed. So I understand why Raiders fans are upset. Had they decided to replay the down, the Bengals would have been extremely hosed, like way more hosed than the Raiders got hosed in this particular instance.
I would say that Raiders fans don't have a reason to be upset, because the reality is, this is what I said on HQ. If you're watching the game on mute, you go, oh my God, great play by Joe Burrow, great catch by Tyler Boyd, Trevon Moore got smoked in coverage. Let's go on to the extra point. So just because some numbnut blew the whistle because he's a moron, I don't know who the guy is, and maybe he's a great grandfather and all other stuff. Why should that penalize the Bengals, and why should that give? And it is an advantage to the Raiders. And I say this as a Steelers homer. I'm watching it going, there's absolutely no reason. I would imagine that, NFL referee HQ said, listen, you guys really royally screwed that one up. Just pretend like it didn't happen. And after the game, Walt Anderson, who I think is now the head of officials, said, oh, no, the whistle came after the catch, which clearly didn't happen.
Well, that's what the ref said, the pool report. And then Walt Anderson just stood by the official, what they said in the pool report.
But also, the reason they stopped, let me just quickly, 10 seconds. The reason they stopped Tyler Boyd, Trevon Moore, because they did hear a whistle, but as Breech noted, it happened right before Tyler Boyd caught the ball. And you're wondering, why would some numbnut blow a whistle right here at this point in the game? So I have no problem with it.
I should have pointed out too, like when I said that the Raiders players slowed up, I didn't think it was that egregious how much they slowed up. It just saw the replay on NFL Network too, and it looks like Moerig he slowed up because he realized Tyler Boyd was catching a touchdown. Like he was like, I got beat.
Exactly. That's right.
So you can see it if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're watching, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, rate, and review. If we get to 200 likes, we will give away a Brinson Sucks hat. Paul Dehner Jr., friend of the podcast, was interviewing. This is interesting too. This has changed. I don't know if this is a COVID change or if this is a NFL decision to avoid awkward problems change. But now, well, you used to the pool reporter. So they pick one of the PFWA reporters at the game, gets a one-on-one with the referees, and then distributes the quotes to everybody. So it's not like an exclusive or anything like that.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
They don't want the referee to interview with everybody. It used to be that you would talk to the head official. So like Paul Dehner Jr. would have talked to Jerome Boger. Instead, they put him on either a Zoom or a call, whatever, with Walt Anderson, who's the VP of officiating in New York. And he asked him about it. He says, can you talk through the conversations that were had on the inadvertent whistle in Cincinnati's touchdown in the second quarter? Anderson says, we confirmed with the referee and the crew on that play. They got together and talked. They determined that they had a whistle, but that the whistle for them on the field was blown after the receiver caught the ball. Okay, that's a lie and not accurate. So Dehner follows up and said, so they didn't think that the whistle was blown while the ball was in the air. Anderson says, that's correct. They did not feel that the whistle was blown before the receiver caught the ball. All right, doubling down. Dehner, where did the inadvertent whistle come from? Is one of the officials? Do you know the back judge? No. Anderson says the ruling on the field was a touchdown, but we still have to confirm any reviewable aspect of the play. So we confirmed it, blah, 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 blah. And then finally, Dehner asked, and that whistle was blown after the receiver had already caught the ball. And he says, what is specific in Rule 15 is that an erroneous whistle is not a reviewable play. And this is the key part, because Rule 15, Section 4, non-reviewable plays, A, whether an erroneous whistle sounded, which is an incredible loophole for the officials, because once they make their decision on the field and go with that ruling, whether they say no touchdown, whether they say he stepped out of bounds and we blew the play dead, or whether you say it's a touchdown, you can't review it either way. So I think what happened is Walt Anderson and the NFL officiating office got in Boger's ear and were like, yo, he was not close to out of bounds. You have to rule that a touchdown immediately. And
right call. That's the right thing to do.
It is, but we now have sort of the eye in the sky Wizard of Oz situation unfolding with these officials.
They get it right. I don't care. They have stupid rules on the books. And they said in this instance, this is the right call. Once again, if you're watching this game on mute, there's no question. And that the whistle, even though it was blown a split second before Tyler Boyd caught the ball because that moron blew the whistle, who cares? Like I guarantee the Raiders players would say, yeah, they're scoring that touchdown anyway. I get it. It's illegal. It's an erroneous whistle. I feel like Chris Farley doing Van Down by the River. But the end of the day, it's a touchdown.
And look, I understand why Raiders fans are upset because, you feel like you got hosed over, the whistle should have.
They shouldn't be upset about this.
I understand why they are. They are. And I understand it.
understand
If it happened to your team in a playoff game, you're going to be upset. But I think the flip side is this isn't like overruling an interception. If they had overturned it, the Bengals would have run another play from the Raiders 10-yard line, 3rd and 4. And you know what? At that point, you have no idea what's going to happen. What if they run the ball? Then the Raiders have to use a timeout. The Bengals kick a field goal, or the Bengals offense, as we said, had not been stopped the entire first half. So what if they get a first down? What if they get 5 yards?
And
then they run out the rest of the first half and they get either a field goal or a touchdown, one or the other. Let's say they just get a field goal. Then they're up 16-6 at halftime instead of 20-13. So now they have a 10-point lead instead of a touchdown lead because the Raiders never get the ball to score that touchdown right before the half. So it really opens this kind of Pandora's box of
just our what if scenario.
As a Raiders fan, you can't assume your team was going to stop the Bengals because they had not stopped them up to that point.
I would imagine again, Steelers homer here, rational Raiders fans don't care about that call. They know that the officials screwed it up, and it would have been a benefit for them to get that call. And as our buddy Joe Musso points out in the comments, probably sipping his red wine, will, quote unquote, Rule 16, Section 4, Brinson.
Look at Jonathan Chavez. Dude is only salty because the Raiders smacked his Steelers in week 2.
The difference is
up high, down hard.
Down hard.
I was actually played a bunch of dunk music while I was hosting the Friday show on HQ, so I had to mute my dunk button there. One other thing, just on the eye in the sky factor, there was a play call where I think it was Brian Edwards, maybe it was Darren Waller. Derek Carr threw a pass. And look, the officials had an awful night in this game.
Yes.
Let's not sugarcoat it. Jerome Berger was a disaster.
Least surprising development,
of course,
including the blowout in Buffalo. By the way,
one other thing. So a couple quick notes from the section. There were tons of holding calls. Every single member of the Raiders offensive line was called for holding, which is kind of amazing. I don't remember that ever happening. They gave Derek Carr a play where he flopped with his head and acted like he'd been hit in the head, and there's a 15-yard penalty for roughing the passer. And there was the timeout that the Raiders got gifted on a huge play by the Bengals, and then they said they waved off a roughing the passer foul on Max Crosby because the contact was inadvertent, even though he shoved Joe Burrow.
No. It was a timeout before the play even began.
Yeah, but I don't think it matters. A personal foul would still apply there.
If there's no play, how's it personal foul?
But so the Raiders got the timeout and they didn't get hit with the penalty. So a double.
Hayward called the timeout before the play went off, so that was the right call. They got that one right.
I mean,
you're dunking on him for undunking.
It was a mess. It was like they were confused in the mess. And look, anyway, but my thing about the eye in the sky stuff is not specific to Boger. There's a play where there's an incomplete pass, and it was overturned, and they go up, and the Raiders run a really fast offense and go up there. Oh no! So then the next play is to Hunter Renfrow, and the eye in the sky popped in on the first play and said, "Hold on a second." And Boger goes up and goes, they ruled it incomplete. And he's like, actually, the ruling on the field is a catch. And so the Raiders on the next play, it's complete to Hunter Renfrow, but as he's going out of bounds, he loses the ball, and it looks like it's really close as to whether it's a catch or not. The NFL does not buzz in on that. They force Zach Taylor to throw a challenge flag. And my issue is that we are not being told when, where, how, and for what reason the NFL is buzzing in from New York on certain plays. Like, if you have back-to-back plays where it's a questionable situation with a catch, why is New York not getting involved in the second one when they get involved in the first one?
I know you like to have full disclosure. You need to know everything, and that's fine. I get that. The first one was clearly a catch, and they just botched it. The second one was, okay, there is something that the official on the field needs to look at and determine whether it's a catch or not. I understand that. And if the plays had been switched and the calls had been switched, I would have been fine with that as well. I know what you're saying. I know you don't like the secrecy, the Wizard of Oz behind the veil stuff, but I understood why they did it there, and they got both right. The issue, of course,
correct, and I'm with you. That is,
but
it
cost Zach Taylor a challenge. I get all that in terms of his ability to challenge later, should that have happened. But I know what you're
saying. The point just being that the NFL needs to come out and say when they use the eye in the sky, the official on the field needs to read that. He needs to say, there needs to be some declaration that it's replay assist or whatever Tariqa was talking about. Like they added this like this year in the middle of the season and didn't tell anybody. It's insane. Like they need to say the original ruling of the field was incomplete. Replay assist has determined that was a complete pass. Raiders second down, please put 8 seconds back on the clock or whatever it is. And then, the same thing, like, and if you're Zach Taylor, you need to, like, I had to bet on the Bengals. So I was worried. I wanted the Bengals to win.
Full disclosure.
I
made Brinson bet on the Bengals.
Yeah. No, I mean, I had them as the best bet, but I was panicked because I thought Zach Taylor was going to not throw the challenge flag in time because I was thinking, oh my God, he's probably waiting for the eye in the sky to pop in because they just did it for the last play. And then it didn't happen.
I will say this.
By the way, shout out to Colin Bear in the chat. Yes, Venmo your $100 at some point.
Folks in the comments.
Colin and his brother went to every single loss in the Andy Dalton era. Finally got to walk out victorious today.
Folks in the comments are salty with Ryan Wilson for his anti-Raiders takes. Look, man, I don't know what to tell you. You can say that I'm mad because the Steelers lost the Raiders. That's fine, but if you're a fan and you think that touchdown should be overturned, what are we doing?